English teachers, what topic on a write about anything essay made you lose hope in humanity? My husband assigned topics for a research paper, but because they were argumentative essays, the kids got to choose their position on the topic. One student wrote that religion belongs in government more. His argument was that most wars aren't caused by religion, so therefore the government should be based on religion. He also said that the US should be a Christian nation and is based off the Bible, and how can you have freedom of religion if the government isn't Christian? In my own experience, I had students do a project on famous scientists. I gave them a list they could choose from, but one student told me he wanted to do someone not on the list, but he couldn't remember the name. He'd email me later with it and I agreed. I get an email later that night saying I remember, it's Ken Ham. I was straight up told him absolutely not, he is not a scientist. Pick someone else. He didn't argue, at least. My girlfriend and her sister have some pretty daft assignments. The GF got asked to write a paper on any aspect of history, so just wrote about her life up until that point. Her sister got asked to do a presentation on evolution, and did it on the 2001 film. The GF got asked to write a paper on any aspect of history, so just wrote about her life up until that point. I got that one myself in 6th grade, and did an expanded chronology of every dog my family had owned. I was extra proud of myself, because I got to start with a dog named Jack, owned by my great-great-grandfather, who was notable for urinating on the bar of a local saloon and indirectly causing the arrest of 3 men for public disturbance. This is way more interesting than most actual history books. Legends Never Die literally started playing as I read this. I took an SAT preparation course one summer which would teach you a variety of tricks and tips for doing better as well as practicing taking tests. Amidst telling us tips for the essay portion, they explained how the grading system worked, and that you need to be slightly careful, because if the people grading it feel they cannot be objective about it, then you'll just get a 0. They cited a story where, once the essay topic was we have no fate, but what we make for ourselves, which many of you might recognize. You were to discuss why, or why not it was true. One student wrote an essay on how it was true, and went on to describe that the Holocaust was the Jews' own fault for his supporting evidence. Needless to say, he received a 0, because none of the graders could read it objectively. Well, it wasn't the topic itself, but a student literally cited The Onion as one of his main sources. That was enough to make me lose hope. You just need to look past the riff to see the rad. To be fair, it's often kind of hard to tell anymore. I really actually feel bad for the Onion writers. They should just start pretending that reality is normal and report on completely dry normal things, like when 100 senators all worked together to pass a bipartisan electoral security bill and the president praised it in an eloquent speech before signing it. I'm really hoping the kid knew what the Onion was and used it on purpose. Is the Onion a satiric news source or a source whose articles are taken as satire by people? A comment from some other post. A friend of mine got high before his university entrance exam and ended up writing a 4-page essay explaining how much he would love to eat a pie. Life didn't get much better for him after that. I want to know what pie it was. I mean, what if that student had never eaten pie? What if they had some sort of disability that prevents pie eating? I'm all kind of intrigued now. I'm pretty sure that eating a pie makes you more interested in eating pies in the future, not less. I mean, I know I don't have enough content to write 4 pages about pies, so if it's not just a bunch of nonsensical fillers, what he wrote could be legit. It was elementary level, a harmless "what did you do on the weekend?" thing to practice diary style writing. The amount of casual child abuse they described was shocking. I truly hope that's just an innocent typo there, teach. I'm on my phone and I didn't catch that. I will leave it there as a reminder that we all suffer from the dumb. First time seeing a teacher make an error. Teachers in my school always think they're correct, even when they're completely wrong. They were just testing to make sure that you were paying attention. They put it there to catch plagiarists. Agreed. This habit, or joke, helped ruin my elementary school. I wrote a BS essay on why global warming isn't real. Some of my points included, we were just speeding up the process, so it was more global quicker changes, something that was just a whole bunch of coincidences about the flat earth. Earlier that day I was trying to convince everyone the earth was flat by giving some BS explanation such as Donald Trump is orange. Orange is around. Donald Trump controls the government. The government is trying to trick us into thinking the earth was round like an orange. It still rains and snows, and there was snow in the ice age. I don't know how lucky I'm the teacher never saw that one. Although another teacher saw, I blamed the changing temperature of boiling water on aliens. So I've had classmates submit essays copied straight up from Wikipedia, including the blue hyperlinks and all. I had a classmate in high school who once did a presentation where he just read his text off a piece of paper. The presentation included the phrase "as a historian, I." This is my favorite. One of those moments where powering through despite any doubt is probably the wrong move. As a historian, I have learned that, in fact, not everyone who reaches back into history can survive it. Teacher here once had a female student submit an assessment that included the phrase "now," as a male journalist. Didn't bother reading the rest. Until last year, my students 7th grade, ages 12 to 13, had to do a science fair project. They had to create a topic with a testable theory. Does brand X detergent get more stains out than brand Y? This was accompanied with a research report of the topic. I would give the students a sample report I created. Every year, I would tell them not to copy from their sources, and I would easily find out who did. Every year, some literally copy word for word from, of the easiest of sources, Wikipedia. Cue mad parents. Cue exact copies of the report, side by side with the highlighted portions of the report. I used to teach in South Korea. The education system over there is like one long breach of human rights. When I asked the kids to write a short essay on what they would do if they could do whatever they wanted for a whole day, all of them wrote a variation of sleep as much as I want, play video games, eat heaps of pizza, or similar fast food. It was like they'd all been robbed of dreams. I mean, I think all kids would say that. Well, what would you could do whatever you want for one day? Dude, that's like all of my days off. So as part of our English coursework in England in high school for ARGSE, we had to do a lot of writing. Well, one of those included writing about a true story. I wrote about my bar mitzvah. Only problem is I'm not Jewish, although I'm circumcised, hence it was not a true story. Thus my teacher failed it, but the worst part is he said it would have been an A and he read it out to the entire class and gave it to other fellow classes to rub salt in the wound, I guess. It was pretty funny, and I think that contributed to my overall grade being lower as a result. Oy vey. I was in the 2nd grade in high school, and I remember my friend asked me if I could send him my presentation about the same topic as I had a year ago. The rest is literally, "Hey, can I copy your homework?" meme. I sent him the presentation and lo and behold, there he is in front of a class. First slide of a presentation displayed on the wall by a projector, with my signature in the bottom left corner. Good thing I put it in just the first slide and he quickly skipped the slide. The teacher didn't notice, and we laughed about it till our graduation. Not an essay, but we were doing impromptu speeches, and one guy recited the Weird Al song Albuquerque word for word until the teacher finally told him to stop after 10 minutes. Okay, now, I'm genuinely curious. Did he recite it word for word, just as it's sung by Weird Al, or did he just talk like a normal person while reciting it? The moral of the story: I hate sauerkraut. And RIP glow-in-the-dark snorkel. It was just like a snorkel to me. Here's one I can actually answer. I was teaching an IELTS test prep class to high school-aged students in China. One of my students is planning on being a nutritionist, and when I gave her a topic about what she would change if she could be the president for a day, she said that she would imprison everyone who was over a certain BMI until they were thin, and if they were repeat offenders they should spend life in prison for wasting public resources and making healthcare more expensive for everyone else. Kind of a sideways one, but I had to present a joint essay with a classmate on an aspect of Chinese history. He wrote like a kindergartner, so I did the whole thing and just handed half to him to read in front of the class. It was handwritten. He couldn't quite read my writing, and he introduced the central concept of the way of heaven as the way of heaven. Hadn't occurred to him to ask what it meant or to question my ideas. Just read it word for word. This is in college. In high school, we had a history essay to write about JFK, and one of my classmates wrote the entire essay by naming him JEAN-FRANAOIS Kennedy. Yes, it was in France. My teacher was so astonished by it, he asked her why she didn't wrote the abbreviation JFK instead of guessing the name, and she answered that she actually thought his name was JEAN-FRANAOIS Kennedy. I don't want to trigger people, that's not my brand, but freshman year of high school I vividly remember getting into this argument with a dude because his free topic was why feminism is bad, and then proceeded to tell me how I belonged in the kitchen and how he was better than me because he was a man, and yeah, I lost hope in humanity at that point. Did you even read the prompt of the thread? Well, not technically an essay. My computer teacher in like 8th grade asked the class to do an open topic PowerPoint, and I couldn't think of a topic, so I quite literally did a PowerPoint presentation on the history and current popularity of Super Smash Bros. Melee. Some time has passed, and I'm kinda amused and disappointed with myself. Our teacher made us write an essay about how good meat rolls are. I had to do one about Oreos, so I know where you are coming from. I didn't even write it because of how ridiculous it was. My friend, however, went full out. Mine would have been short. I don't eat meat. I don't know what a meat roll tastes like. The end. 4th grade. I was teaching the kids how to write short stories. Kid wrote a story about going to a new school for the first day and being abused by teachers. It was awful. Turns out this kid was being abused by his dad and thought it was normal behavior for adults to act that way. Absolutely heartbreaking. While doing my English degree in college, I came up with a system for essay writing 30 minutes per page, plus an extra 30 minutes just in case. So, if I had a 5-page paper due for an 0800 class, I'd wake up at 5 AM to write it. Never failed a class. In 3rd grade I was given an assignment to make a quote about anything. I chose to write, "Bruce Jenner is not a hero." I got an A. I guess I regained faith in humanity then though. So you're in 7th grade now? And that was it? Just write a quote?